Put my glasses on my face. I'm pretty sure it's the pancreas, but what? I have cat hands.
Not you. I don't have cat hands.
Oh, hold on, instead of stuck in my ear. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. That's perfect. Oh, good. It is what I thought it was. I was like, well, that's where it's supposed to be. All right. We've got the stomach. We've got the duodenum. We're going to learn the parts of the stomach. We're going to learn them on the model. That's, Melody and I were talking about this the other day. She's like, we cut the whole thing up. And I was like, oh, sorry, we just don't. All right. So this is our duodenum here. It's this first recognizable part there. Some other things. Let's see. Ooh, got the stomach here. All right. You're going to have a grayish brown mass over on your left-hand side of your cat. All right. That is going to be the spleen. That's your spleen right there. Okay. This is a average size one right here. This is the spleen. Okay. This is very average size. If your kitty was sick for a long period of time, if it was chronically ill, it'll be enlarged. You'll notice it right away. You'll be like, whoa, that's my spleen. All right. It'll be huge. So, all right. Does anybody know what the root word for stomach is? Begins with a G, like Latin. That's a good, the whole thing is the gut, but that's a good guess. What is it? Gastric. Gastro. Exactly. All right. And this is the spleen. So what do you think this ligament is called? Gastrosplenic ligament. All right. It's this part. It looks like greater omentum. All right. It looks lacy like the greater omentum was. Okay. See how this is greater omentum that hangs down over the intestines here? It looks the same. It's still got a lot of fat in it. All right. But because of its location between the stomach and the spleen, we call this section the gastrosplenic ligament. Okay. It's the gastrosplenic ligament. Let's see, what else do we have in here? We're going to lift this up. We have, okay, once you lift up the stomach, duodenum here, and the greater omentum, see all this membrane here. That's what you start seeing. Okay. Embedded in this membrane, you find an organ. It looks kind of like dried up oatmeal. I don't know how else to describe it. All right. It's this. It usually comes down a little bit along the duodenum. Sometimes it comes up underneath the stomach here. All right. This is pancreas. Okay. That you find here in the membrane. Oops, that I just ripped. Okay. This is pancreas here. It's actually behind the membrane. It's posterior to it. Anything that's behind this membrane is what we call retroperitoneal. So the kidneys are retroperitoneal. Pancreas is retroperitoneal. Okay. While we're talking about it, we should probably talk about it now. What are the membranes you find around the lungs called? Visceral and parietal pleura. Okay. You've got a visceral and parietal peritoneum down here. Okay. So, what would this one be? Parietal peritoneum. That's right. This is parietal peritoneum. All right. What do you think the one directly on the organ is called? Visceral peritoneum. Okay, very good. And what's the space between them called?
Peritoneal cavity.
That's right. It's the peritoneal cavity. All right. It's the peritoneal cavity.
What is the visceral one?
The visceral one is right on the organ itself. Okay. So parietal is the one lining the abdominal cavity. The one covering the organs themselves, that would be visceral. Okay. When I take the small intestines out, you'll see membrane between them. Okay. Now they've been injected with dye. All right, so try not to cut those. Those are actually blood vessels, and these are some pretty blood vessels. When we get to the blood vessels, this is really nice. All right, because sometimes the abdominal arteries or I should say the hepatic portal system doesn't inject well. So if you find a cat that's got really nice yellow veins, try and keep it nice. All right. So we have membranes here stretching between the parts of the small intestine here. This membrane has a special name known as mesentery. This is mesentery that you find in here. And it also attaches the intestines to the back wall. All right, that's mesentery. Basically,
Both intestines or just in the small intestine?
the majority, it is also to the large intestine. It actually has a special name called the mesocolon, but we don't need to know that one. So this is mesentery here. That's a good question. Okay. Actually, blood vessels come into it. We're going to start talking about that on Monday. Is that right? Right. You're like, whatever. Okay. Let's see. We've got, this is all small intestine here. Okay. Large intestine is here. It actually is going to go around, and I'll show you the parts of it in a minute. All right. Why do they call a small intestine small and the large intestine large? You see a difference? Well, the functions are different. That's true. What else you notice?
The large ones, I guess they
Length. True. What else? Look at it.
It's wide.
It's larger. It's wider. The diameter of the tube is wider in the large intestine. Okay, so that's why even though the small intestine is longer, all right, it gets the name small intestine. You can see that this tubing is not very thick. See that? All right. Large intestine much thicker. Okay, that's the large intestine there. So that's why it gets the name large intestine. Okay. So what was the first segment of the small intestine again? That's right. So if our stomach was here, this is our duodenum, the first segment. Okay, it's pretty short. It will then run into the rest of the small intestine, which is known as the jejunum and the ileum. Okay, it's kind of hard to stick a pin in the jejunum. All right, it's kind of like, well, where does that start and end? I usually don't pin the jejunum. All right, but I can pin the ileum because right here in my hand, this is where the small intestine comes into the large intestine. See that? See how this is thinner? And then it runs into this, which is large intestine. All right. So this last segment of the small intestine is the ileum. Okay, where my thumb is. This is large intestine. There's a little, like a pouch or an end, I should say, right here. This is the first area of the large intestine where the ileum of the small intestine comes into. This little end here is called the cecum. Yeah, this little end. It's almost like a little pouch. It's more like an end. Yep, it's on the list. Cecum. So this is ileum. It's the last segment of the small intestine. This is cecum here. First of the large. Between them, if anybody has a pair of gloves on, they want to feel it. Yeah, okay. Just checking. All right, you'll check it later. You want to feel it? Right there. It's real thick between them.
So that's the cecum? Is the
This little thing here is the cecum. Feel right there. Pinch it. Eee. That's called the...
cartilage or something?
It's called the ileocecal valve. All right. There's a valve between these two. All right. That's going to open to allow the passage of digested food from here into here. Makes sense when you think about where it's located. What is this called again? Ileum. What's this called again? Cecum. So this is the ileocecal valve. Ileocecal valve right there. Okay. From the cecum, normally in a human, we'd have the appendix hanging off. Okay. In a human, we have the appendix hanging off. But oh my gosh, this cat has had an appendectomy!
Worst day ever.
They don't have an appendix. All right, cats don't have an appendix. Okay, so if I pin the cat and ask you to name this structure, don't tell me appendix, it doesn't have one. All right, there's no appendix in the cat. In fact, most mammals don't have an appendix anymore. Okay. From the cecum, we go up. All right, in the large intestine. What do you think this part's called?
Ascending.
Ascending colon. To go up. Ascend. All right. Ascending colon.
So it's the first, like the first part of the large intestine.
After the cecum. Yep. So it goes cecum, ascending colon. Then it goes across the body. What's that called? Not yet. It goes across the body. Transverse colon. Remember, this is a transverse section. Okay.
Do you have a blood pressure cuff?
Oh, no. You feeling not so good? Put your head down right now, and then we got a blood pressure cuff. Actually, if you would, put your head right down now on the table.
She's diaphragmatic. She's
Yeah.
kind of clammy.
I know. I don't want her in that chair. Have her put her head down, like, now. Put her head down. Put her head down.
Because she's holding her hand up.
I know. Yep. Amber, you got to put your head down. There you go. Okay. Hey, Kathy. You want to keep going? We were doing ascending colon, and we left off on transverse, and then I'm going to do descending. Y'all keep paying attention.
So, transverse going across and then going down would be the descending colon, right? So, on the human, we'll see that we have this little S part, the sigmoid colon, but we don't have that on the cat. So that goes directly down into the what? Well, we don't have the sigmoid colon, so in the cat that would be the rectum, directly down to the rectum. And usually when you do the anus, she'll probably pin it from the back for the anus. So underneath here, so this is, the descending will go directly into the rectum, and then it'll be the anus from the back.
So we have a sick
So humans have the sigmoid colon, cats do not. The transverse would just be the portion that kind of goes across.
What did you say humans had or cats don't?
Humans have a sigmoid colon, but cats don't.
And that's between the descending colon and the rectum, the sigmoid colon.
The sigmoid colon, like if this was descending, then in humans you would get to the sigmoid colon, which would be like a little like S curve, and we'll show you on the models.
Okay.
But because of the cat doesn't have that, it goes directly into the rectum, and then from the back. That I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. And then what else is on? Is that everything on the list?
Yeah, rectum, anus.
Okay.
Oh, and do we have to know the gallbladder and the cystic duct and the gastric duct?
hepatic duct and common bile duct.
So small may be difficult. I don't know. All right. So when you guys, when you feel your liver, so when you guys go to your cats, you'll feel the liver, and it's really firm, right? And the cat actually has more lobes than we have, so this is really tight. But in between, and some of you guys may have it dyed, there's a change in consistency, like it's a little squishy. That would be the gallbladder.
So it's in the liver?
It's
Like within the...
what's in the folds. It should be in between there. Like, and if you had your gloves on, you can just feel it. It's tight. Some of you guys, I think in my cats, they were kind of green, but it's squishy. You can definitely feel the consistency change when you get to the gallbladder. Now, I don't know if I can quite see it from here, but from the gallbladder, comes the cystic duct, and then from the liver comes the hepatic duct, and those come together to make the common bile duct. And I think she'll probably do those on the model, so I'll have her show you those. I don't know if I can get a close enough.
They go from the liver to
So the
cystic and the hepatic duct meet up to make
The common bile duct, yes. The cystic is coming from the gallbladder, the hepatic is coming from the liver. And then they come together and make the common bile duct.
Okay, say that again. Cystic comes from the
Gallbladder, hepatic comes from the liver, and they come together to form the common bile duct.
So the gallbladder is a squishy duct.
Gallbladder squish.